I want to start by sharing something deeply personal with you. After years of sitting across from people in therapy, listening to their stories, their pain, their hopes, and their dreams, I've come to understand that we live in two worlds simultaneously. There's the world we speak aloud, with our words carefully chosen and sometimes guarded. And then there's the world beneath, the world of glances, gestures, and the smallest movements that reveal what our hearts are truly feeling. I'm a doctoral student in psychology, but more importantly, I'm a witness to human connection every single day. And I want to talk to you about something that I believe is profoundly beautiful, yet often deeply misunderstood. The quiet, secret ways that a woman might be dreaming about you, even if she never speaks those dreams out loud. I know this might sound romantic, perhaps even poetic, and it is. But it's also deeply rooted in who we are as human beings, in our biology, our history, and in the way our nervous systems have learned to protect us. Before we go any further, I want you to know that this conversation isn't about manipulation or decoding some secret female language designed to confuse you. It's about understanding that different people communicate differently, and that's not a flaw. It's actually beautiful. It's the diversity of human expression, and when we understand it, we can connect with each other on a level that's far more authentic and meaningful. In my experience, I've noticed something that perhaps you've noticed too. Many wonderful, kind, and genuinely good people, men who would move mountains for the right person, completely miss the signs that someone cares deeply about them. And it's not because they're not intelligent or attentive. It's simply because they're looking for one language while someone else is speaking another. It's like standing in a room where beautiful music is playing softly in another space. If you're not listening closely, if you're not trained to hear that particular melody, the song passes right by you. I want to be clear about something from the beginning. Men and women, generally speaking, tend to communicate their interest in very different ways. This isn't a judgment. It's not saying one way is better than the other. It's simply acknowledging that we come from different experiences, different histories, and different biological realities. Men, typically, are taught from a young age to be direct. You're encouraged to know what you want and to go after it. That's powerful. That's beautiful. That's how things get built and created in this world. But women, for the most part, have learned a different dance. And understanding that dance, not to manipulate it, but to truly honor it, can transform how you connect with the people you care about. Let me tell you about the first sign, and I want you to really sit with this because it's subtle, but it's also one of the most telling. It's something that happens entirely without words, entirely through the language of the eyes. Our eyes, you see, are windows not just into our souls, but into our deepest desires and vulnerabilities. There was groundbreaking research conducted in the 1990s, and it was replicated again about a decade ago. And the findings remain remarkably consistent. What researchers discovered is that when a woman is genuinely interested in someone, there's a very specific pattern that emerges. It starts with what we call brief glances. Imagine her looking at you for just a moment, a fraction of a second, really. It's quick enough that you might miss it if you're not paying attention, which is exactly the point. She's testing the waters. She's checking to see if you notice her. She's being brave, but only a little bit. Because the vulnerability of being seen and rejected is something that runs deep in many women's experiences. But here's where it gets beautiful. She doesn't stop at one glance. These glances repeat. Throughout the evening, throughout the day, her eyes find their way back to you. It's like she's building a bridge, stone by stone, waiting to see if you'll meet her halfway. What's remarkable about this research is that these scientists didn't conduct their studies in sterile laboratory settings. They went to where life actually happens, to coffee shops where people sit with their thoughts, to bars where people gather to celebrate and connect, to school cafeterias where young people are discovering who they are and who they might become. They observed people being themselves, in their natural environments, doing the very human thing of trying to connect with someone they found interesting. This is why these patterns are so reliable. They're not behaviors that people learned or adopted. They're expressions of something deeper, something genuine. Now, when you notice these repeated glances, something magical can happen. If you're brave enough to return that look, If you can manage a small smile, nothing forced, just a genuine acknowledgement of her, something shifts. Those tiny, quick glances start to change. They become slightly longer. They linger just a moment more. Eventually, if the connection is real, they transform into what we call a gaze. This is when she holds your eyes for those extra heartbeats, the ones that make time feel suspended, the ones that make your stomach flutter with possibility. This progression, from brief glance to repeated looks to sustained gaze, is the visual language of a woman's growing comfort and courage with her own feelings. I want to pause here and explain something that's important to understand about why women communicate this way. It's not because we're trying to be difficult or mysterious or to play games. It comes from a place that's much deeper, much older, and much more rooted in our shared human history. When we look back at how we've evolved as a species, there's something profound about the role that women play in ensuring not just the survival, but the thriving of future generations. Think about a mother in those first vulnerable months after giving birth. She is literally dependent on having someone strong, reliable, and loving by her side. She needs to know that this person won't abandon her or her child. She needs to feel safe. Because of this, because the stakes are, in a biological sense, so much higher, many women develop an almost instinctive ability to observe, to wait, to take time in getting to know someone before opening their heart fully. This isn't being guarded in a negative sense. It's being wise. It's being discerning. It's the ancient feminine wisdom of observation that says, I'm going to take the time to really know who you are before I let you into the deepest parts of my life. It's not quick, but it's thorough. It's not bold, but it's brave in its own way. Now, I want to mention something gently and without judgment because I've seen this pattern in my work. Sometimes you'll meet women who don't operate this way. Sometimes you'll meet women who are very direct, who move quickly, who put themselves out there without the careful observation. And often, when you learn their stories, you discover that their childhoods looked different. Maybe they grew up in homes that felt unstable. Maybe they didn't have that secure example of what a protective, steady presence feels like. And because of that, they might move through the world differently. They might be bolder because they haven't learned to trust that careful waiting will keep them safe. This is deeply human, and it's important to understand it, not to judge it, but to recognize that every person's approach to love and connection is rooted in their own history. But for many women, the ones who grew up knowing what safety feels like, there's this beautiful, patient language of signs and signals. And one of the most common signs is what I call implications. This is something women do that men almost never do, unless they're going to great lengths to be extraordinarily polite and careful not to overstep boundaries. And actually, kind men, men who are genuinely respectful, they often do this too. But women tend to use it more frequently, and it's important to understand what's really being said beneath the surface of the words. Let me give you a specific example, because examples are where clarity lives. Imagine a woman you care about tells you, I just finished redecorating my bedroom and I'm so happy with how it turned out. You should really come over and see it sometime. Now, a man might hear that and think, literally, that she wants him to see her new wallpaper. He might imagine looking at her curtains or admiring how she arranged her furniture. And all of those things might actually be true. She probably is happy about her room. But what she's really doing, what she's truly expressing beneath those words, is an invitation into her most private, intimate space. She's saying, I trust you enough to see me in a vulnerable place. I want you in my bedroom. Now, that might sound bold when I say it directly like that, but when she says it through the lens of asking you to see her decorating choices, it's her way of being both vulnerable and somewhat protected simultaneously. She's opening a door, but framing it in a way that gives her some safety. I've had countless conversations with men, smart men, good men, men who genuinely care, who've told me about moments like this, and looking back, the meaning seems so clear to them. But in the moment, they missed it entirely. They were focused on the actual words, the bedroom, the decorating, the timeline of sometime, while she was focused on the feeling of having this person in her most private space. It's like we're speaking two languages simultaneously, and if you're not bilingual in the language of implications, you won't understand what's really being offered. But sometimes a woman will be more direct, and I want to acknowledge that too. Sometimes she might say something quite bold, like, "I'm about to take a shower, you should join me." Or she might simply say, "I'm going to take a shower now." But there's something in the way she says it, some vulnerability or openness, that makes you understand she's not just making conversation. When a woman shares something that intimate, something so private and personal, she's doing something remarkable. She's making you comfortable thinking about her in a vulnerable, intimate context. She's already been thinking about you in that context, and she's inviting you to meet her there mentally first. This is actually quite profound. It's her way of creating a safe space for both of you to acknowledge the attraction and the desire that's been building. It's human. It's natural. It's the way we're designed to bond and grow close. And then there's the language of the body itself. The way a woman positions herself, moves herself, holds herself in space when she's around you. This is enormously telling. We call this targeted posture, and it's worth paying attention to. When a woman is interested in you, her body often arranges itself to make her visible to you. She wants your attention. She wants to be seen. If you're in a group of people, you might notice that her body orients toward you specifically. She might maintain what we call open body orientation. Her shoulders are back, she looks relaxed and present, and most importantly, her body is pointed directly toward you. She's not turning away. She's not crossing her arms in that protective way that suggests she's creating distance. She's staying open. She's vulnerable. She's accessible. You might notice that she tilts her head when you speak. This is something so natural, so instinctive, that she probably doesn't even realize she's doing it. When a woman tilts her head as she listens to you, she's signaling that she's truly hanging on your words. She's measuring her interest and her safety simultaneously. She's also, in a subtle way, testing to see if you're paying enough attention to notice. It's a quiet invitation, and it comes from something deep inside her that she might not even consciously understand. If you asked her about it later, she might not even remember doing it. It's that authentic. Sometimes she'll lean forward when you speak. Her whole body is moving in your direction, drawn by your presence and your words. Sometimes she'll even do this with objects. If she's holding her phone or a cup of coffee or papers from work, and those objects are tilting or pointing toward you, it counts. It all counts. It's like her entire world is orienting itself in your direction, because that's where she wants to be. That's where her attention lives. Then there are compliments. And I want you to listen carefully here because this is crucial. Not all compliments are created equal. A woman might tell many people, "You're a nice person," or "You're good at what you do." These are kind things to say and they're genuine, but they don't necessarily indicate deep romantic interest. But when a woman starts being very specific and detailed in her compliments to one particular person, that's when you need to pay attention. She'll say things like, "I really appreciate the way you listen when I'm talking," like you actually hear what I'm saying. Or, "I've noticed that you always show up early and that dedication is really attractive to me." She's calling out the specific qualities that she finds beautiful in you. She's been watching. She's been paying attention. She's been thinking about the details that make you who you are. And when she starts naming those details back to you, she's revealing something. She's been thinking about you. She's been spending time in her own mind with who you are. Every woman is different, so the things she notices will reflect her own values and what she's looking for in a partner. Maybe she loves your clarity in communication. Maybe she admires how you set boundaries. Maybe she's attracted to your consistency or your sense of humor or the way you treat other people. But when those compliments are specific and repeated, when they focus on the particular qualities unique to you, that's a signal. That's her way of saying, "I see you, and I like what I see." In my work, I've noticed that men and women really do operate differently when it comes to how they express appreciation. A man might tell the woman he loves deeply, "You look beautiful today," and he means it with every fiber of his being. But women tend to give those more general, surface-level compliments to many people. When a woman starts getting very specific, very detailed, very particular in her praise of one specific person. That's different. That's her moving into deeper territory. That's her revealing something more. And finally, there's something beautifully simple that sometimes gets overlooked. Proximity. Physical closeness. If you're sitting next to a woman you care about, notice whether there's a large gap between your bodies, or whether she's positioned herself as close as she can be without it being obvious. Notice if when she crosses her legs, those legs are pointed toward you. Notice if her shoulder finds reasons to brush against yours. Notice if her leg presses gently against yours under a table. These aren't accidents, these are choices, even if they're made at a level that's not entirely conscious. When a woman keeps her body close to yours, she's communicating something profound. I feel safe with you. I'm comfortable with you. I'm drawn to you. The truth is, understanding these signs isn't about manipulation or decoding some secret female language. It's about honoring the fact that we all have different ways of expressing ourselves. And that's okay. It's beautiful, actually. It means there's nuance in human connection. It means there's room for genuine understanding and real intimacy. My hope is that this understanding helps you see the women in your life more fully, to recognize when they're reaching out, even if they're reaching out quietly. Because sometimes the most important things are said without words at all. Sometimes love speaks the language of a lingering glance, a tilted head, a body leaning forward, a specific compliment, and a willingness to let someone close. And when you understand that language, when you learn to listen with your whole heart, you can connect with people on a level that transforms everything. That's what I hope for you. That's what I believe you deserve.